This is an Ellis Mowers and Mower small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's repair video, we're going to look at this Bolens Yard Machine MTD push mower. I'm going to deem this push mower the mower with 99 problems, because like every single thing there's something wrong with it, it seems like. This is how I got it. I got it in a very, very large lot. I believe this one came from my friend Jesus. Got a ton of riding mowers and push mowers. I've already sold one of them, push mower, and got the whole lot for $200. Already sold the push mower for $80. So I'm only in these about $120. Should have all the parts to fix this thing. If y'all are familiar with these are the Briggs and Stratton Classic engines. And it's got a lot of issues that we have to address. A lot. I'll show you everything that I've seen so far just in the few minutes that I've looked at this, and then we're just going to go to town on this. It's probably not going to take too long, and get all this back together with parts that I have accumulated from parts machines to bring this back to a nice, relatively nice push mower again. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'll show you all the issues, and then we're just going to start tackling everything on this thing. So here we go. This is how I've got it. The handle right here is bent on it. Might just replace the handle. There is no safety cable. We'll put a toggle switch on it for that. There was no cover. We have a cover right here. So I have one of those. The air vane for the carburetor is broken. I'll have to see if I have one of them. That might be the one thing that I may not have. I think I do though. Missing the spark plug. Missing the air filter. Will it? I don't know if it'll even prime. Feels like the primer bulb is shot on it. It's got something in the tank. It looks like a bunch of water though. Underneath we have no blade. The adapter's still there. I can't tell if the shaft is bent on it, but when you take this flywheel nut off, the flywheel key is sheared. Where is it? Right there. So the flywheel is right here and the keyway is right here, and so it is shifted forward timing, so this thing has had an impact before. So what I've got to do to start, and I have turned the engine, I do see the piston moving up and down, so we've got that. So I'm going to put it on my little electronics cart here. Going to work on every single piece here and just see what we can do. I need to find one of these pieces. I'm going to find one of these pieces before I move on. Make sure I have one. I have carb diaphragms, blades, everything else that really is needed for a machine like this. So we're good in that aspect, and we'll see if this thing will run again for us, hopefully in just a short amount of time. Alright, I'm starting off by I found one of these. I had to take it off of a parts mower out there, but I'm going to just take this off and put the new one on. 1/4-inch bolt takes it off. Somebody just broke that, so hopefully this will work fine. We'll slide this on, make sure everything is nice and tight. Might have to cannibalize the bolt from the other one as well, but we'll see what this does. Seems to be good, so that's good. Might throw a little WD-40 on it or something, but we'll get the bolt off of the other one. That way we know it's going to work right. But we know this is going to work, so that's good. We'll just do that for now. Next thing we're going to do, because you see it's not going to move unless it has the correct bolt to pivot. But in terms of orientation and whatnot, it looks like it's correct, even though it is from an older engine. Next order of business. We're going to take the flywheel off and replace the flywheel key. So find a good place to pry up on it. Oh, the flywheel's already popped off, so that's actually a good thing. Don't even have to worry about that. Somebody's already done the leg work for me here, which is nice. Oh, the flywheel key's just missing, so that's even better. I just have to literally find a flywheel key for it and put it on here. I think somebody has not quite done this right, unless it moved on me whenever I did that. I'm just gonna take this ignition coil off for right now. Set it aside. So what I'm gonna do in addition is take off the take that off, and that should allow us to get the flywheel on and the key on good. I gotta find the flywheel key. That's also part of me putting the toggle switch on here. Put a zip tie. There's a hole under here, and then I tie it to where usually the cable snaps in. So, flywheel key, zip tie, swap the bolts out. I'll get those items, we'll continue. Back into it, y'all. Alright, so the zip tie, like I mentioned, this is just going to tie everything open here so that I don't have to worry about doing it later. And I'll wire a toggle switch to it. Okay, so that's good for now. Flywheel key, got one right here. Just pull off the flywheel. I know it's a little dirty. Oh, no, this is the way we need to go. Put the flywheel on, and you can usually slide the key into it. Usually. Come on. Alright. We're going to take just a little tap. Should get us in. There we go. Great. So, next order of business, we can put this back on, which is just a little cover thing. Get my 15/16 sockets and just hammer that back on, or not hammer it back on, but put it back on. That's good. Alright. And then the last thing in this sequence is going to be putting the ignition coil back on. Should have a And a business card here. That will help us out. And we need to swap the bolt out here, so let's do that. Why is it being so difficult to come out? There we go. Good news about Briggs and Stratton is they didn't really change their stuff for many, many years, so you can. A lot of stuff is relatively interchangeable. And looks like we still got a little bit of a. Oh, because I don't have the 1/4 inch in right there. Okay, tighten that up, and hopefully, so I got to figure out something with this bolt here. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing. I think I just need to lube everything up just a little bit. See if I can put it back in there and do it. It may be okay. Oops. Where are we on this thing? I think I might need to just put a little washer on top, but I want to check one more time here before I actually do. Yeah, so what's happening is it's pushing itself down into the ignition coil. So let me find like a little washer or something to go on top of it. And that should resolve that issue, because it is, whenever you push it all the way down, it is sticking through, but the issue is it is pushing down into the ignition coil. So it needs just something to space it out there. And so I'll do that, find a spark plug, and then we'll put the engine cover and stuff on it. And well, I may put the toggle switch on it before the engine cover. Good news is, guys, I got compression. You turn the engine. I got the spark plug in it, and maybe a little bit of play in the cylinder, but y'all know these Briggs Classic engines will just run and run and run. As long as you throw diaphragms in them, you're usually pretty good. So the next order of business, and I'll just show you this, I'll show you the end product of it, is I will wire a toggle switch to this machine, because I don't want to mess with trying to buy a cable and finding a handle, bail handle, and all that stuff. So so what I'll do here is I pulled this off, and then I have some wire that I connect. This goes up to a toggle switch, and then there's another one that I'll use this bolt right here to ground it out. And then I run 2 wires up to a toggle switch and just plug them in, and I'm done with it. It's pretty easy. I'll show you what that looks like before we put the engine cover on. We'll have to put a primer bulb and stuff on it, but before I get into that really far, I'm just going to make sure that it will actually run first, and there's literally like no oil in it. So we'll throw a little bit of oil in it as well, just to make sure it'll kick over. But yeah, let me go ahead and take care of that. toggle switch, and we'll see if it'll run here shortly after that. Alright, so here's my setup that I do to wire toggle switches for these push mowers. I put up one of them round ends and screw it to this on the bracket here, and then take just a butt connector there, take the kill wire, plug it into the second wire. And this is just like, it's not ceiling fan wire, but it's like lamp wire or something, where it's joined together so it runs together up into a toggle switch. Now the toggle switch turns the ground on and off, so you have to have it in the O position to run it, and then to turn it off you turn it into the I position. I know it's backwards, but it works. So what I'm going to do next, so I've got everything on here ready to go. Seems like everything's moving like it's supposed to. I just found something to space everything out right here. This is just like a little, like a throttle cable holder bracket. You give it a little bit of space so it wasn't sinking down in the ignition coil. And as you can see, everything's going like it is supposed to there, which is good. So this kind of looks like somebody has changed out the carburetor on this to a different setup, but it should work just fine for what it is. And I took, what I'm going to do before I put this on is I'm going to just replace the pull rope because it's looking a little shabby. Literally all you do, pull this rope all the way out, cut that knot right there, measure it to length, take your end, put it on the new pull rope, tie everything together, and have everything vice gripped so that you don't lose the recoil action on it. And then you just release it and you got new pull rope. So I'm going to take care of that, find 3 bolts to put onto, for me to put it onto the engine itself, and find a blade for it. And when we get to that point, I will see if this thing will run for us. I think it will, though. Well, just a little bit more. We got to the point where I can try to start this. I put new oil in it. I put a blade on it with a blade bolt, and along with all the other stuff that y'all saw earlier. So still got to do a lot here in terms of carburetor work. Well, not a lot, but a little bit. But what I can at least do now is spray a little bit of this in here. And let's see, this switch is switched off, and I can pull it. See if this thing will fire up for us. Oh. There we go. That's good. So, what I'm going to do now, I got to change the primer bulb out. I may change the primer bulb out and see if it'll run as is. But, well, I forgot. No, I need to pull the tank off of it. Because it's mostly water in the tank. So I'm just going to pull the tank off of it, drain that out, put a primer bulb in it, and see how well it runs after that. And then, it ain't nothing to take these off. I'll put a carb diaphragm in it if I have to. I'm not even going to put it back up on the bench to do this because of how easy it is, how quick it is. 1/2 inch right here pulls this off, and then a 3/8 is going to pull off the front bolt here. You slide this out, you have an O-ring and a little plastic piece that are supposed to go inside of the carburetor. Sometimes they slide off onto the intake tube there. And you just have to put them back in if they do. So you just put the O-ring in first, a little plastic piece after that. Bing, bang, boom, right? So it's just grease caked up on here too, but we'll get it clean in a second. In terms of the primer bulb, Briggs does make a dedicated tool for this, but you've got a flathead screwdriver, which I should somewhere around here. This one will work. You just take off the sides. Like that. Kind of push it out a little bit. Same on this side. Well, that tab actually broke, but we're not trying to save those tabs. So literally just pull it out like that. You can see the water in here. So I'm going to drain the water out. The new primer bulb, all you got to do for that, and there's that tab that broke off. That's probably what was the straw that broke the camel's back, along with all the other issues that was this thing taken apart. Drain the water out. I'm going to put it right back on just like y'all saw. There is a spacer right here. You want to make sure that does not fall off of its keeper whenever you do this. But I'm going to put the primer bulb back on, I'm going to put gas in it before I put it back onto the machine. See if the new primer bulb allows it to prime. If it does, then I will go ahead and put it back on the mower, see if it'll run. Because sometimes these newer ones, this is like a 2011, I think, may not have to change the diaphragm on them if they haven't been run very long. So, but I'm sure it will. Either way. But I want to see how little I can do to it to get it running good. Alright guys, so I put the primer bulb in again at just a couple of clips right in, and you can see we're getting good spray. And that primer bulb is bad, so we'll throw that away. So before I put a diaphragm in it, since like I said it doesn't take but 5 seconds to pull this off, I'm just going to stick it back on. Put the put the bolts back on here. Obviously I can do much better than that, so let me do that. There we go. I'll thread this one, go ahead and thread this one through too, that way I know that I've got everything straight on it. Alright, there we go. And you know, it makes me wonder why they had this thing tore all apart. If it was because of a flywheel, if it was because of this. I'm not completely sure. But what I can do is get it out here. We still need to put a different handle on it because this handle is bent pretty badly. But I'll put that on there after I get this out. Get it out, see if it'll run first for us. Just let it run for a few minutes or so. I'll swap the handle out, give it a good cleaning, and I'll be ready to roll after that. Alright guys, so let's see how the diaphragm is. It should at least start up for us. Depending on whether or not it stays running is a different story. Yeah, we'll try it a couple more times here just to make sure. I think we still got a little bit of water in it. great. I'm going to go ahead and change the handle out, and then we'll tackle the carb diaphragm next. So luckily, my friends at Hipa actually sent me a while back a whole maintenance kit for one of these Briggs and Stratton engines, the classic engines. So we're going to put that on there. I'll show you the step-by-step process here in just a second. Alright guys, so time for the diaphragm. This stuff is super easy. If you want to cut your teeth on small engines, doing this is one of those. One of these is about a good place to start. So you take a 1/2 inch socket right here, and then a 3/8 inch on the front here. Pull this off. Gas tank assembly comes straight off here. Just like that. You take the plastic throttle piece right there and take it off of the linkage and you're good to go. So now what you got to do is you have 5 screws here. Get a screwdriver. Take these 5 screws off on each side. And this is a 2011 model year. And so I'm venturing to guess that it still has the original diaphragm in it based on the condition that the actual machine is in. You just have to take these 5 screws off. Number 3 right there. I wouldn't use an impact on these, just use a screwdriver, take your time. Screw number 4. And of course, you can clean up the machine before you work on it. It's just out of habit, I clean the machines at the end for some reason, but they all get fixed either way. So what you do is you pull this out. You can see the diaphragm in here. The diaphragm on the bottom. Just seems to be kind of shriveled up a little bit from water. And then the actual gasket on top, hopefully it comes off in one piece. As long as it does, then you should be good. You might have to scratch it and scrape it to get it off a little bit though, if it doesn't come off in a couple of areas. But for us it came off clean, so that's a plus. What I am going to do next, actually our gasket and everything looks good. I'm just going to clean off the surface here, get some of this junk away from it. Looks good on the inside. That diaphragm actually didn't look that old, but they may have just not put the right one in it or something. You're going to take the new one here, open it up. You can see the difference between the two. So this one was kind of starting to get a little hard and brittle. It'd probably been in there for a good little while. So you put your, not that way, diaphragm in like that. A lot of times I like to just set them on there. Put the gasket on top. Just like that. Then we can take our carburetor, which appears to be in good shape from what I can tell. This one doesn't come with a pickup screen and a spring, but usually those two items aren't really an issue when it comes to maintaining it. So we'll put that in, and everything has gone into place. You put your 5 screws back in, kind of go in like a crisscross pattern. And a tip before you put it all back on here, before you put the bolts and stuff back on, after you get the 5th one down here, which we're about to do, just check and make sure it's going to spray out and it's not leaking anywhere. I think we're good. So just put it back on. And this one had a bunch of water in the fuel, so I'm sure water kind of contaminated it a little bit. And we put our sockets, put our bolts and stuff back in here as well. I'm not going to tighten that all the way yet because I want to get this 3/8 threaded in here first. There we go. Okay. And the 3/8. And now I'll take it, well, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and put the air filter on it while y'all are here as well. Well, a lot of times what people will do with these air filters, and I'm probably going to do it here, is dabble a tiny bit of oil on it. I'm talking about like a couple of drops here. I'll probably do way more than a couple drops on accident, but like that. And so what you do is you just kind of rub it in all together here, and it will eventually like kind of distribute through the air filter, even just that small amount of oil. You could put a little bit more on it than I did. But what you do is it helps with the picking up the dirt a little bit, just oiling up the air filter a little bit. Now, if you want to look like a pro, put it on this way. If you want to look like an amateur, put it on that way. But the air cleaner goes like this. Put the air cleaner on, put the screw in, and screw it down with a flathead screwdriver. And after you do this, you go take it out and fire it up. See how well it runs. Should run good. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this. I'll take it, show y'all how well it runs with the new Hipa tune-up kit here. And hopefully we'll have a good machine ready to roll. Alright, so I got it out here with all the stuff on it with the new kit. And we'll crank it up. If it's starting to sputter or whatnot, whenever you do that, that means the diaphragm's on its way out. Sometimes I'll also tilt the mower about a 30 to 40 degree angle, just So this thing's ready to rock and roll, and clean it up, and should be a nice mower. Alright guys, so there we go. Got it cleaned up. A little humid out here, so it's taking a while for it to dry off. But y'all heard it run just a second ago. It runs great. Hopefully I don't have water on the plug, but we'll see. And so I'll let it run for a little bit just to make sure it's all good. But man, she's cruising along, especially from where we started in this video. Still got a little water in it, I think, from where I washed it. Excellent. I love it. And so that's all fixed, ready to roll. So we ain't got to worry about this mower. It'll be probably sold within about 48 hours of making this video. Even though it's been dry, people do like push mowers because they're cheap. So we'll finish this video up next. I know on the channel I've done a ton of riders lately. I've got a ton back here. Just did a huge clean out, as y'all saw in the previous video. But it's always nice to come back to these old Briggs Classic engines. Usually don't need a lot. This one looked like it was in shambles, of course, when I first started working on it. But since I have worked on these probably for close to 10 years now, because I did do push mowers well before I started doing riders again after I moved into this house. I had a really good push mower parts pile, and so you know, this cover here for the pull rope, flywheel key, Hipa provided the diaphragm air filter kit, and you know, blades, and then that little air vane that went on the linkage there. All those parts, actually I pulled it off of a parts mower that's still sitting on the trailer that I got earlier this week, that air vane, because I've used all the other ones that I have, because that is a part that occasionally breaks. And the other thing is, as long as these engines are not run without oil, they don't really break. They just keep going and going. They're like the Energizer Bunny of push mower engines. And the unfortunate thing is they're over 10 years old now, because they stopped making them at the end of 2013. But again, this is a good example. Just keeps running and running, and it was in shambles when we first started working on it. Kind of makes you wonder why everything was all pulled off and pulled apart on it. Who knows if it was a flywheel key issue or some other issue, or you know, it could have been. And it's not my friend Jesus, probably, or it's not my friend Jesus. He probably got it in the state that it was in when he got it. Somebody probably just kept tearing things apart off of it, and got to the point of no return, I guess. But hey, this is back going again. We have saved it, and if anything, I just want to show y'all how easy it is to work on something like this. If you think you're going to get into working on mowers and stuff, if you can find like a push mower that has a Briggs and Stratton Classic engine on them, especially with the primer bulb on the side, the ones that are the Pulsa Prime from like the 70s and 80s, they're getting so old they're not even worth trying to mess with anymore unless they're in like immaculate shape. But one of these right here, you can usually get it going with some hand tools and a little bit of know-how. Not a lot of know-how. As you can see in this video, a lot of the stuff is really easy to do. And again, all the parts that I needed I had in my stash. So I have essentially $0 in it because Hipa provided the carb kit and everything in it. But I appreciate y'all watching this video. We'll get to more riders in the coming weeks. I'm just getting a little tight on videos, and I figured that y'all would enjoy seeing a Bolens push mower that essentially had 99 problems get all of them fixed in this video. So I appreciate y'all watching as always. Y'all take care, and I will catch y'all on the next video. See you then.